Ladies and boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're going to be talking about the one and only Turbo coin. Ladies and gentlemen, I will be updating and comparing Turbo to many other coins because, ladies and gentlemen, there's something that I haven't done in recent times, and that is compare Turbo to other meme coins because right now I realize that, ladies and gentlemen, that if we go back and look over here, we are the 14th highest meme coin. If we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, with being 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, we are the 14th biggest meme coin. But you got to remember, it wasn't always this way, and we did have other competition. Now, here's the thing, right? I want to compare us to other coins because context matters, right? If we go on something like Turbo, and by the way, guys, I will cover everything that we always cover, the technical analysis, the market cap, the absolute everything. But before I do that, I want to see and compare it to other stuff. So look, we have the 778 million market cap spike, and then we were at 700 million at one point, right? If we see even just go to like say the weekly, or go through the weekly, we actually were higher. We're probably like at 800 million. 850 million was the highest Turbo ever was. Right? 850 million was the highest Turbo ever was. So, with that being said, I want to compare Turbo to other coins. Okay, so we were at 850 million market cap, roughly, right? And we're at 372 million right now. But we can see, ladies and gentlemen, right? Something like, for example, like Mod Coin that is right behind us. If we go and look at the market cap, go to the yearly, all right, we can actually see its peak was at 1.5 billion. Yes, you heard that right. 1.5 billion. So almost, two times higher than we were. And, like roughly 1.75 times higher than us. And we are above it right now, right? So that should really, really say something, right? Even if we compare it to the AI coin, right? We go to market cap, we go over the last year, right? It peaked around the same time as all the other coins. Well, this one just a little bit later. Look at this. 2.6 billion market cap. And right now, Turbo is above it, which means this coin has dropped so hard it fell off the face of the earth. And you know what? Sure, can it still do something this cycle? Sure, whatever. But there's a reason why Turbo is absolutely dominating the entire, even crypto market, especially the meme coin, industry. And ladies and gentlemen, it has some of the best ratios we talked about, right? We talked about how it has 370 million market cap, 160 million volume. The other day, we're talking about pretty much it was almost a 1-to-1 ratio in terms of market cap and volume. And you simply don't see that, right? Even, something like Mogcoin had a good day today. Look at the volume difference. Look, 50 million, but 342 million in market cap. So, you know, I tell you, these coins, man, they are simply gonna get outdone by the legend itself, right? Popcat is part of our competition, right? When you look at something like Popcat is at 445 million market cap, so a little bit higher than us. But we can see this coin was almost at 2 billion market cap. So this coin was almost 2.5 times our highest peak. And yet, ladies and gentlemen, right, we're almost right there. We are right behind them. So it really, really should be showing you how powerful this coin is. If you go through something like the SPX coin, I mean, absolute garbage volume, let's be real, right? Great market cap, but absolute garbage volume. And we can see a coin like this was pretty much sitting at 1.5 billion, right? 1.5 billion. So again, a little bit less than 2x than us. And, we are not that far away from overtaking it. Sure, 100 million market cap, but you got to realize that we were much smaller and our volume is generally much greater. Got to remember something like Ethereum, right? Something like Ethereum is slacking behind, right? We talked about how Ethereum is kind of doing poor, right? Ethereum's doing really, really poor compared to like something like Solana, Bitcoin, some other big coins. And once something like Ethereum starts simply catching up, right? We know Ethereum's going to get a minimum to 4,000. I believe Ethereum's going to at least overtake the highs. I mean, on a serious, serious bad year, I think Ethereum would hit 6,000, which would still be very, very good for us. Because the thing is, the reality is, it's like, yes, Ethereum does impact our price, but with how far Ethereum has been getting dragged down and underperforming, the reality is we have been performing super, super well. And I talked about this before, and I'll say it again. When the stars align with Ethereum pumping, right, with Ethereum being in the spotlight, when Bitcoin continues to pump, when altcoin dominance starts to drop off and altcoins start to pump, guys, like we are going to dominate this space. Even something like Brett, which is what, like currently 10th, right? We can see 550 million volume, or sorry, market cap practically 43 million volume. So it's whatever. But we can see in market cap, this coin was also, sitting at a nice 2 billion. So over 2.5 times practically the amount of market cap. And we are just like 150 million market cap away from catching up. I know 150 million market cap is a lot, but you gotta realize the ratios are looking really, really good for us. You gotta remember some of these coins were also higher at one point, right? I remember this cat coin, I believe at one point it was doing better than us, right? Even in its recent peaks, a billion, right? It did better than us. And look, it is struggling. It is struggling. Milena coin is absolutely just not doing well at all, right? This coin is in the dumps. This thing has fallen off a cliff. I mean, Giga, 5 million volume in the last 24 hours. That is terrible, right? That is terrible. And it had, a similar peak to us. That's what I'm saying. We have like double the amount of market cap that Giga has, and our volume is like 20 times higher, right? And on a bad day, it's 20 times higher. That's what I'm saying. Peanut. Look at something like Peanut. All right, we go to something like Peanut. Market cap. Dude, this thing was practically at 2 billion market cap. And sure, the final peaks before it dumped 1.5 billion. So again, roughly, 2 to 2.5 times the size, and it is half of our current size right now. So I tell you, right? These coins, they've had their run. Book of meme. I swear this coin did absolute wonders at one point. And where is it now? Where is it now? Right? It started so hot. It started so high. It got to a billion market cap, right? And look at it now. It is just not doing well, right? We practically got to a billion. We got to 850 million market cap, and we are 3 times higher than this coin. Right, like maybe 3.25 times higher in market cap than this coin currently. So people, I tell you, I don't know what more evidence I need to show you, right? Because I know this is something I forgot to do. I forgot to do an updated, comparison in terms of ratios, in terms of volume, in terms of how far these coins truly fell off. Because the thing is, right, I understand some people are still, a lot of people are happy. Some people might still be a little like, a little bit 50-50 with turbo and stuff. But it's like, guys, you gotta remember, meme coins come and go. They come and go, right? We are dominating. That's the difference, right? Some coins are struggling. Some coins have fallen off. Some coins are also doing good and great, right? Some coins, you don't know, it's a 50-50. Some coins on the rise now. In a month, no one will know about them. But turbo is here to stay. And once again, we've talked about the liquidity coming to the markets. We talked about how whales were purchasing this coin. We talked about how, we literally had the biggest pump just 2 weeks ago out of the whole, crypto market, the top 300, right? We talk about the consistent market cap to volume ratios. We are literally comparing it to other coins that are our competition, and we are killing it for most of these coins, right? I know something like WIF is, it's a pretty big boy to take care of because it is on the Solana chain as well. But you gotta remember, this coin, guys, this coin was pretty much 5 times, like 5 times higher than our coin, okay? And sure, it is almost like, 2 times, a little bit less than 2 times bigger than us. But you gotta realize, if we talk about peaks to current price, we are still outperforming this coin. When we talk about Pengu, right? Pengu has had a decent recovery, great volume, to be honest. Almost 3 billion, practically 3 billion in market cap. And, it is also, it is practically is double our size, a little bit more, like 2.2 times. But you got to remember, in terms of peaks, it literally had like almost 4 times the amount that we did. Okay. So like three to 3.5 times easily in terms of its peak. And of course, like, if it outperforms us by double, that should be kind of expected, but that's still technically in terms of ratios pretty poor. Farcoin, right? Farcoin went global. It went absolutely nuclear out of nowhere, right? And you know what? This coin is doing solid. I'll give it the credit where the credit's due. So Farcoin is going to be a hard coin to beat, right? But wow, one coin out of how many, right? Out of how many? This coin is down roughly 50% from where it started. We are a little bit lower than that. So look, sure, outperforming Turbo, whatever, right? Whatever. The thing is, it's also on Solana, so Solana does give it a buff. But sure, I'll give Barkcoin its props. I'm not going to be one of those people that doesn't give a coin its props just because, it is technically our competitor. Bonk, we always said Bonk is really, really solid and great, right? But even it pretty much hit 4 billion market cap and it's 1.36. So again, the ratios for it are worse than ours. And we pretty much have the same amount of volume and we are like what, like 5 times smaller. So most coins we are still beating in ratios. It's just the honest truth. And when Ethereum starts pumping, when Bitcoin starts pumping, when everything starts aligning for us, when Turbo will be in the spotlight, it is inevitable that we will pump. But listen, enough comparisons. Let's do a quick analysis. We can see that we are starting to really, really struggle to hold and maintain price, right? We can see multiple daily wicks kind of causing a lot of exhaustion, right? Multiple candle rejections. Now, I will say Bitcoin is currently trying to trend up, but it doesn't mean, something like Turbo can't look for a little pullback, okay? Now, I don't know 100% if we will have this crash because with the news consistently flipping and flip-flopping, right? It just seems like the markets are kind of just going in the green. We talked about how the liquidity is going to be consistently in the markets, okay? Markets are going to be having lots of liquidity consistently in them, getting pumped in. So any pullbacks that kind of I expected might be already out of the possibility because the markets are just speeding up. This is what happens when things are green, right? The market makers just simply don't care nearly as much. They're like, all right, green, pump. It's that simple, right? Within just 5 weeks, we went from 75K practically to almost 100K. So it's crazy, right? It's crazy. And here we only chilled for roughly a week and a half to 2 weeks, and now we are trying to continuously to pump, right? The markets just simply do not care. If Bitcoin decides to continue to push up, right, we are actually getting close to the all-time highs. We can see the monthly candles have been beautiful. The 3-month candle is absolutely gorgeous. I still personally want to see some type of pullback, but I'm not going to be stubborn because we get what we get. I do expect there to be a little bit of resistance at roughly 103K and $106,000. But if we do continue to push up, that is a solid couple of percent, right? 4.5 to roughly 8%, which means meme coins and everything should be pumping. Yes, Bitcoin dominance is also going up at the same time as Bitcoin. So we're not getting the mega buff right now. But that is okay. Listen, in the events where Turbo does, go down a little bit, do not worry, do not panic, right? I do have this theory that we are slightly on a different schedule compared to most coins, which obviously we need more confirmation because we were back then on a different schedule compared to most coins. Remember, we peaked halfway through October, while most coins start to actually recover from November to December. Yes, we did also have our December coin, but we did go sideways and downwards for a good while before we actually had the big pump. So, my theory is still a theory I'm looking out for. And the reason why this theory is so important is because if that is going to be the case, right, where we do potentially peak earlier, that means for us, altcoin dominance, right, it might not be relevant when we go, let's say, to 40% for altcoin dominance, right? It might be, like somewhere down here. It might be relevant when we hit like 55%, 52, 60%, right? 45%, 48%. So obviously we will monitor and continue to look at that. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys did enjoy it, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.